What's been happening with the Kelowna condo market? Well, sales are starting to increase as we head into the spring market. Inventory or condos on the market are at record highs, but does this mean that prices are actually coming down? In this update, I'll break down the latest numbers and what it might mean for you if you're a buyer or seller in today's condo market here in Kelowna. So let's start with the stats. These are as at the end of March of 2025. So the number of sales, again, they've been increasing month over month. They are a little slower than if you span it out over the 10-year average. It's a little slower than we were used to, but as we see interest rates or have seen interest rates come down, the sales have been increasing and people are getting a little more confident as they're entering the market. So sales were at 92. That's 14% over this time last year. That's what the green ones here are. And 18% increase over February. And we should continue to see sales increase at least into May and June. And then the summer's a little bit slower here in Okanagan. Then it picks up again in the fall usually. Inventory, we're sitting at over 800 listings, record number of listings. Current number of listings, I forgot to put that in there, but we're at about 820 as of the recording of this video, which is April 11th. So inventory continues to increase again as we lead into the spring. And the benchmark price, we're sitting at over 500,000, which is a 4.2% increase over last year. But we are down year to date, and I'll get more in depth here in the prices in a moment here. But yeah, we're down about 2.5% year to date. Now the average days to sell, so if you're a seller in today's condo market, the average days to sell, you're taking about 66 days to sell. And that's increased 16%. So it's taken a little bit longer to sell your condo over this time last year. And if you consider canceled and relisted condos, or let's say a seller and their agent do a price reduction and then they cancel that for initial listing and then relist at the new price right away. If you consider those, then the real days to sell, or what I call the real days to sell, is at 77. So you're around 2 months or just over on average 2 months to sell. So keep that in mind. And the list to sale ratio, we're sitting at 97%. Meaning buyers and sellers are negotiating roughly 3% off the list price. And that has been the story for the last, I believe, around at least 18 months. So that number hasn't really changed. Now that is again off the last list price. It doesn't include what properties might have been originally listed at, which doesn't really matter. It should go off the last list price. But if you want to know what it would be, it's about 1% more. So it's about 96% if you include the original list price to what it actually sold for. So it's 1% different. And the months of inventory, you're sitting at 10 months of inventory, meaning if no other condos got listed at the end of March, it would take about 10 months, give or take, to sell off that entire amount of inventory, which puts us into a buyer's market. Anything over 6 months of inventory, some say 5 or 6 months of inventory puts us in a buyer's market, and we've been in a buyer's market for quite some time. A little bit of context there. At the peak of the market in March of 2022, the months of inventory was between sometimes less than 1 month of inventory. It hovered around 1 to 2 months of inventory, and that puts us into a seller's market. So it wasn't a lot of inventory on the market then, but now we're in a buyer's market. And the absorption rate tells us the same thing. About 1 in 10 condos, or roughly 11%, are selling in a given month right now. Now, if you have any questions about the Kelowna real estate market, or you're looking to buy or sell in the area, my number here on the screen, you can simply shoot me a text message or give me a phone call. Or if you prefer email, there is my email down in the description below. And if you are getting any value out of this video, I invite you to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on my future videos going forward. All right, now let's discuss the prices, the Kelowna condo market prices as at the end of March 2025, and what's been going on in the last 5 years. So if we start 5 years ago, March 2020, the benchmark price of a condo here in the area, in the Kelowna area, was $371,000. If we take the blue line right to the peak of the market, which was March of 2022, $556,000 for the typical condo here was the peak of the market, and that was a 50% increase in value in those 2 years, from March 2020 to March 2022. And if we take that black line down to today, so 3 years later, we've seen prices decrease by roughly 9%. The market did bottom out in December of 2024, and then going from the peak of the market to October 2022 was when interest rates went up and prices started to come down. Now, where we're sitting sort of historically here, we're sitting at January 2022 pricing. So if you did buy in any of these little bubbles here, your property may have lost a little bit of value. Hopefully you don't have to sell, just wait out the market. We'll hopefully see a rebound here. We have seen prices come down in the last couple months. Hard to say if that trend will continue into the spring with more sales, but we do have a lot of more inventory on the market too. So that could lead us into more decreases in prices, but only time will tell us that. Now, if we go back 5 years again from today, and let's say you did purchase at that time, your condo is roughly up 36%. So if you're a buyer in today's Kelowna condo market, you have more choice than ever. You can take your time looking, you can negotiate the price, terms and conditions. And if you're a seller, you must be priced very competitively compared to recent sales to actually get your condo sold in today's market. Now, this next video here is on the entire Kelowna real estate market if you want to stay up to date on what's been going on recently.